The first voyage on the back of a whale. Once upon a time, Baghdad was the capital city of the great caliphs. There lived a wealthy merchant in that city. He had a son whose name was Sindbad. When the merchant died, he left his son a large fortune. Young Sindbad did not know the value of money, nor did he like hard work. He lived a life of idleness and pleasure with his friends, so he spent almost all his fortune within 3 or 4 years and became poor. Then Sindbad began to think about his helpless condition. He sold his house and lands, and with that money he bought goods to sell in far off lands. He joined some merchants at Balsora and set out in a ship on a long voyage. The ship sailed from country to country and island to island. Sindbad sold his goods or exchanged them for the goods of those lands at great profit. He was very happy. Once, during one such long voyage, the ship sailed over a wide sea. The merchant saw no sign of land for many days. At last, the ship passed by a small island. Some of the merchants said to the captain of the ship, "Sir, we want to spend a day on this island. It is very beautiful with fruit, trees, and flowers and singing birds." The captain stopped the ship near the island, and most of the merchants went in boats to the shore. There, on the island, some were making a fire to cook their food. Some were wandering about the island, and some were washing and bathing in the cool water of a stream. Suddenly, the island began to shake under their feet. At that time, they heard the captain's cry, "Come back to the ship. This is not an island. This is the back of an enormous whale which has stayed for a long time in one place. Sand and soil have settled on its back, and trees and plants have grown. You have lit a fire on the back of the whale, and it is angry. Now it will go down into the sea. If you don't come back quickly, you will all die." Many of them ran and got into the ship. The ship moved away from the whale. Some who were wandering about the island were too late, and they went down when the whale dived into the sea. Sindbad was one of them. Sindbad went down with the whale but came up to the surface of the sea in a short time. He looked around. The ship was far away. He shouted and shouted, but the ship went on its way. Sindbad was alone in the vast sea. He struggled with the waves and the winds for many hours. Then a large wooden bowl came floating near him. He managed to get a hold and climb on to it. It was a large bathing bowl. He was very tired and so he lay down in the bowl. The bowl drifted on the open sea for 2 days and 2 nights. When the sun rose, Sindbad saw land at a great distance. This gave him some hope. He sat up and beat at the water with his hands and thus roved slowly in the direction of the land. A strong current carried the bowl to the shore towards evening. He went on land and lay down in utter weariness and slept immediately. When he woke up, the sun was high up in the sky. As he had not taken any food for 2 days, he was very weak. Slowly he crawled to a brook and drank of its waters. Now he was able to walk. He found some fruits and ate them. In a few days, he was strong enough to wander about the island. He ate sweet roots and fruits which were found in plenty everywhere on the island. After a week, he saw a horse at a distance and went towards it. A man suddenly appeared from behind the trees and came up to him. He said, "Who are you? How did you come here?" Sindbad told him, "I drifted on the sea in a wooden bowl for 2 days and then landed on this island." The man took Sindbad by his hand and led him to a cave. He gave him food and drink. When Sindbad had eaten and drunk, he told the man his story. The man said, "I am the king's chief horseman. I am going to the king's city with my companions. I shall take you with me. The king will take care of you." Some more horsemen came to the cave. They were the companions of the man who gave Sindbad food and drink. Sindbad told all of them his story from beginning to the end. They expressed their surprise at his strange adventure. They took Sindbad to the king's city after a few days. The king heard his story with great interest. He spoke kindly to him and said, "Sindbad, I shall keep you as my guest in the palace. Since you were a merchant in your own land, you will be the supervisor of my harbor." Sindbad became an important man in the kingdom. He did his duty well. The income from the harbor went up and the king was pleased. One day a big ship came into the harbor. The merchants landed with their bale of goods. Sindbad noted down the value of their goods. The captain said to Sindbad, "Sir, there are some more bales in the ship. They belong to a merchant who is dead. I want to sell them too, so that I could send the money to his family at Baghdad." Baghdad, Sindbad cried in surprise. "Did you say Baghdad, sir?" "Yes, sir. He was a merchant from Baghdad," said the captain. Sindbad asked him, "What was his name?" He replied, "He was known as Sindbad the Sailor." Sindbad looked at the ship and then looked at the captain. He recognized them and said, "I am Sindbad the Sailor. You are thinking that I am dead?" The captain did not believe Sindbad. Then Sindbad told the captain about the whale island and about many other incidents on the voyage. The captain looked closely at Sindbad and at last recognized him. The other merchants recognized him too. They were all very happy. The captain gave Sindbad his goods. He saw the bales which bore his name. Nothing was missing. He offered the captain some of his goods, but the captain did not accept them. Then Sindbad took some rare and costly things from his bales and went to the king. He told the king about his good fortunes and presented him with those things. The king was glad. He gave Sindbad many costly gifts in return. Sindbad sold his goods at good profit in that city and bought other goods for selling in his country. Then he went to the king and said, "I thank you very much for your kind help when I was in distress. Please permit me to go back in this ship to Baghdad and join my family." The king gave him many more gifts and sent him home. After a long journey, his ship arrived at Balsora. Sindbad hurried to Baghdad and joined his family. He was now very wealthy. He bought a big house, employed many servants, and lived a happy life.